Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you can get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live on YouTube around 4 p.m. Central Time. Or if you'd like to reach out to me outside of the YouTube, you could consider joining the Discord I created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Also, down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to check out some of the different recipes or meals that I've been enjoying as I work towards my goal. Today is day 906 of my challenge to lose 300 pounds. So far, through a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I have been able to lose 250 pounds. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I love hearing those as well. If you are succeeding with your diet, let us know what you are doing to succeed. If you're struggling with your diet, let us know what's causing your struggles. There may be something we can help you out with. And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are doing that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Hello, a few people checking in here. Carrie, hello, says that blue looks good on me. Thank you. It's a very shiny blue. It comes across on the camera very well. I'm going to talk about the shirt here in a minute. Our Tiny Acres, Stephanie, Pretty Girl's mom says, hello, happy Tofu Tuesday. Who's having tofu tonight? For Tofu Tuesday. Stephanie, I think I said hello. Tennis and Yoga Girl, hello everybody. I hope you're having a great day. Had a very busy and productive day here, and nice to kind of finally be a little bit relaxed and have the stress of the day slow down a little bit. So, but it's been a good day. Yes, Carrie's mentioning the shirt. That is my non-scale victory for today is me wearing this shirt that I have on. There are a few shirts that I've gotten over the years that are maybe I bought because I wanted a shirt to remember the event, or somebody bought me the shirt and they just bought it in the biggest size available. And so this is one of those shirts where the biggest size that you were able to buy was a 3XL. And so I had either bought it to have as a keepsake or somebody bought it for me. But it wasn't big enough for me to wear when I was at my heaviest. So it just kind of sat in my dresser or in my closet until now, when I got thin enough that I can wear it. I will, I suppose, show off the shirt, and then it fits here real quick. Well, that was not expected, but yes, it fits and I can wear it. And so yes, so yeah, it's nice to be able to wear a shirt that was just collecting dust for all of those years. Shrinking Shadow says, hello, looking great. Thank you so much, the Shrinking Shadow. Our Tiny Acres here says, you struggled this week. Hubby and friends talked you into going out. You got a salad, but the sauce, they said, had no oil, clearly had oil in it. And instead of complaining, you just ate it. Just that one meal made the scale add 4.5 pounds. Yes, that'll happen when we're eating so clean and such a diet that's free of the oils and the chemicals and the salt and things like that, that once you have something that has some of those, for me, I especially notice anytime that I have stuff with a little bit of sodium or salt in it, that my body retains fluids, causes me to gain weight. But it's just a temporary gain. That one meal, it may cause the scale to do what it did, but over the course of time, that 4.5 pounds is going to come off. It may come off quicker than you expected it to come off, but as long as you're making the good choices, it's going to come off and it's going to stay off. But yeah, that's rough. Seeing such an immediate jump in your weight can be tough. So Carrie here's asking, or saying here, yeah, it's insane how something so small can make such a difference. Overall, are you feeling okay? And Carrie says that she finds that when she has those things that have oil and things like that, that she notices right away. So, but you're saying that you didn't have issues at first, but you are now after eating that meal. Yeah. For me, what, I'm hoping that, after that meal, you went right back to the diet and you were able to stay compliant with the diet since then. And that's something that I always struggled with other diets that I had in the past. Sorry, my focus seems a bit off on the camera. But that I would have that cheat meal. I would have that meal where I said, okay, I will allow myself this. But the temptation of that was so much that I couldn't get back on track right afterwards. And I think that a lot of that is a product of these diets that are so volume restrictive that, you give your body that little bit of extra volume or that little bit of extra calories, and it starts to just try to convince you to get more of that in any way possible. But with this way of eating, I don't feel like I go into those situations hungry. So I'm not having that same effect after the fact. And then after I eat that food that isn't on plan, I really believe that the best thing to do is to eat an abundance of food that is on plan so that you can pass that food through your system as quickly as possible. I think a mistake that people make is they have food that is off plan or off their diet, and then they go, oh my God, I have to starve myself for the next 24 hours to make up for the fact that I ate that crap food. But in turn, what you're doing is you're just making your body suffer through having to only that crap food to digest for the next 24 hours. If instead you grab a few potatoes and some broccoli and eat that, then, hopefully it pushes that junk food through your body, minimizing the impact that it has on you the best possible. And Artani Acre says, yeah, you were right back on track. And that's something for me that has been incredible about this diet, is that it's always been, yep, right back on track for me. It hasn't been, oh, it took me a few days to figure out, what to do. And a lot of times in the past, I would make that bad decision, and then every decision after that was just as bad as that poor decision. Whereas now I'm making that bad decision, but then the following decisions are better decisions that I've made in the past, and they're decisions that get me back on track here. Carrie here says that you're running back to our normal diet when you have or she says you go running back to our normal diet when you have a cheat. Eating this way feels so much better. And the Shrinking Shadow says the same. You so agree. Eating real food feels so much better. It does. It really does have a great effect. And just, when I'm eating these big bowls of potatoes and broccoli, or these big bowls of food that we have for dinner, I get to relish in the fact that, if that's the right word, that I get to eat such an abundance of food. But then on top of that, I know that everything that I'm putting into my body is healthy and health promoting food that I bring into my body. Speaking of that, I'm going to go over food since yesterday. I have a few photos. Excuse me. If I can get this thing going, let me try this. So yesterday was Monday, and anybody that has been following along knows what that means. That means for dinner last night, it was Mega Veggie Chili Monday. Always an amazing meal that we have. The beans in it to this yesterday, I felt like really made the whole recipe pop, or it was really, made it a great recipe. Carrie had, I don't know if it was intentional or if she had messed up, but she ended up using twice as many tomatoes as she normally uses. So this really had that chili feel and flavor to it, especially, like I said, with those big beans in it as well. So that was dinner last night. I did not end up taking a photo of my broccoli this morning, but here is my oatmeal. It's our savory oats with mushrooms, onions, spinach, and a mix of oat groats and steel cut oats. Carrie here says that she thought she had the recipe memorized for the Mega Veggie chili, and so she accidentally used the 2 cans of what's the word I'm trying to think of, tomatoes in it. So I did not take a photo of the broccoli this morning. But then for lunch, I had 8 potatoes for lunch. They were all about the size of a golf ball, but I I had a bunch of potatoes today. You can kind of see them all in the bowl there. There was one larger potato, and then the other 7 potatoes were pretty small. But I like saying that I ate 8 potatoes for lunch, and then also a bag of broccoli that I mixed in there as well here. Plant-powered peddler Janet says you're making the polenta and white beans tonight. I am coming over for dinner. I'm hopping the next flight to your place, and I'm grabbing myself some of that. Yes, that's awesome. I hope it turns out great. Even when it doesn't turn out great with so many of these foods, I still think that they taste amazing, and I enjoy them far more than I ever expected to, even when they don't come out perfect. So let's pull that down. That was food since yesterday. The only thing I didn't take a photo of, and I never end up taking a photo of it, is all the fruit that I ate yesterday. I on my way home had to stop by Target and pick up some groceries, and I picked up some oranges and some apples. So I had a couple apples last night. I had a handful of oranges as well. So it was a bunch of fruit last night too that I didn't take any photos of. Let's see here. Carrie says that she needs to make an easy meal tonight, with it being soccer night. We might end up with the same thing. Pretty Girl's mom says, you too for dinner. You're on your way for dinner as well. Yeah, set a few extra place settings for us, Janet. We're all on our way. And then Stephanie was saying, you were just going to ask if I eat any fruit in my diet. I do eat fruit in my diet. I just forget to photo the fruit that I'm eating. We have, for me, I believe that it's one of the biggest things that helps keep me from the temptation of our pantry is that we have a hanging basket that is on our pantry door that always has bananas, apples, and oranges in it. And so, I find myself snacking on apples, oranges, and bananas all of the time. I just don't think to take a photo of it because it's just the fruit in my hand. So, but yes, we do eat a decent bit of fruit. I feel like the last few days I had been craving a bit more fruit, so I probably had more of it than maybe in the past few weeks. But yes, we have lots of fruit in our diet, and sometimes we mix it in with our food. The last time we had a salad, we put was it blueberries in with the salad? It was really good. And also we like to have, we got this past Christmas, we got a Ninja Creamy, and I really like taking a can of pineapple and just freezing a can of pineapple and then running it through the Ninja Creamy and having that as a dessert some evenings as well. So we do eat some fruit, but we don't have like big fruit meals. Something that changed after I read the Chef AJ's book, The Secret to Ultimate Weight Loss, is we switched from having a kind of a sweet breakfast with apples and bananas to having a savory breakfast with mushrooms and onions. So we don't get fruit as early in the day, I guess, as we used to. Most of the fruit I eat is in the afternoon when I get home, or when I get lucky and pick up the fruit on the way home, and then I get to eat it on the way home as well. And so let's see. Today was a busy, busy day for me. We're getting into that time of year where things are busy. I did have a meeting today. That would be another non-scale victory that I would have to kind of say is me just being willing and able to participate in meetings with other people is something that I would have avoided. Maybe I would have tried to have made this meeting happen over the phone versus having the meeting in person. But just losing the 250 pounds that I have lost, it's really given me a lot more confidence in myself, presenting myself in front of people and not being as worried about them judging me based on my size or my appearance. And so it's something that while I was at my heaviest, I really tried to not let that, become a thought in my head, or, if it was a thought, it was very fleeting, or I would try to, not dwell on, what do other people think of me, or, maybe try to, win them over with my personality kind of mentality. But now that I've lost the weight, I'm still very much overweight at 270 pounds, but I'm much healthier than I was at 520 pounds. So just having the meeting going and seeing somebody, that in itself is a bit of a non-scale victory for me, for those that kind of know me and kind of how secluded I, kind of let my life get in the past couple years prior to starting this. So that was another non-scale victory from today. The topic that I wanted to talk about today was sustainability and sustainability in your diet. Lynette checking in. Hello, Lynette. I hope you're having a great day. Jean's here too. I think I might have missed you popping in. I hope you're having a great day. So sustainability, what's your guys' experience been with sustainability with all of your previous diets or your current diet? And how did the sustainability of that diet play into your decision making while just, to start eating that diet or choosing to eat that diet? And for me, in the past, I always just thought that I could willpower through anything. And if it was sustainable for a week, then it would be sustainable for a month, and then it would be sustainable for a year, and then it would be sustainable for the rest of my life. But that's not the case. There's lots of things that you can sustain or endure for short periods of time, but then trying to stretch that out over the course of your life becomes an impossible task to overcome. And this diet change for me was something that I came into this wanting to focus on my health and well-being for 3 years. And in order for me to be able to do that, whatever I was going to do was going to have to be sustainable for that 3-year period when I started this challenge. And going into the challenge, I didn't know that this was the diet that I was going to be eating. I just knew I needed to eat a different diet than I was eating previously. So I was very open to any possibility or any suggestions. And the thing that, going in, I had lots of ideas of what this challenge would turn into or how it would play out. And in my mind, I had this vision that I would lose all of the weight very quickly, and then I would end up having to figure out a way to sustain that weight loss for the last year of the challenge. So in my head, I think I had played it out that within the first 2 years I would lose all my weight, and then I would spend the last year figuring out how to maintain that weight loss. And what I've realized over the course of this challenge is that that isn't a path that I could succeed on. Because if it was a path I could succeed on, I would have done it already, because it was the path I kept trying to do. I kept trying to lose all of the weight as fast as possible by any means necessary, leaving the aftermath to be figured out by a future version of myself that I didn't care about. And I was only concerned about losing the weight right now. What do I got to do? How little of food can I eat to lose as much weight as possible? Not having the foresight or thinking about that, having to deal with the aftermath of eating such a horrible diet and not knowing how to eat correctly, because none of those diets that I did in the past taught me how to eat properly. They only taught me to go from one disordered type of eating by overeating to another disordered eating by undereating. And I never had an order to my eating with those old diets. But with this diet and the way things have played out, it didn't happen that way at all. I lost a huge amount of weight within the first year of the challenge. I lost over half of the weight that I wanted to lose, almost really 2/3 of the weight that I wanted to lose in that first year. And I believe that I probably could have lost all of that weight by just about any means. I could have done any type of diet to lose that weight, or at least, or close to that amount of weight within the first year. I was that overweight. My body needed a change, and any change that required me to eliminate processed foods was going to cause me to lose a ton of weight. And so that first 200 pounds that I lost, that, like I said, could have been lost by any means. But then it's what happens after that 11-month mark, after that 1 year mark, where I tear my bicep tendon and, I'm sitting on, the mentality of being 200 pounds lighter. When I had that cheat meal when we were out of town that kind of slowed down my progress on my plant-based diet. If that cheat meal would have been a cheat meal while I was on a keto diet or a carnivore or any low carb or any low volume diet, if that cheat meal happens, I don't know that I believe that it happened with this diet. It's happened with all my diets in the past. So if I would have been eating differently on this diet and had that cheat meal at the 11-month mark, I don't know that I get back on track. I don't know that I go the next year losing another 20 or 30 pounds. And then this year, losing another 20 pounds so far this year. I don't know that I would have taken that path had I not chosen to eat this way. And kind of speaking to what I was talking about earlier, I believe a big part of why I was able to go from a cheat meal to right back on diet is because I'm not walking around in a starvation mode all of the time. I am stuffed full of food right now as we speak because I just had those 8 potatoes with a bag of broccoli. And so if I were to get a cheat meal or have some sort of cheat item on my way home from work, I would only be doing it. It would only be satisfying that craving of the cheat. Whereas in the past, that cheat meal would have been satisfying the craving of the cheat, but it also would have been satisfying a hunger that I had. And so my body would have taken that signal of satisfying the hunger and wanted to replicate it because it was sick of being hungry all of the time. Colleen checking in. Hello, Colleen. Hope you're having a great day. Just talking a little bit about sustainability in your diet and how this diet has been sustainable for me when other diets in the past have failed me. It's hard to realize, how these diets have failed, because we try to hold on to the success of the diet for so long, like that's something even now. I still have, the diet that I did in 2013 where I lost 100 or 115 pounds. There's still things that I try to remember as positive things from that diet. But overall, that diet was not a diet to have positive memories of. And it really screwed things up for me for a very long time. In the moment, I thought I was doing a great job. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. But then the aftermath of the failure and the mental toll that took on me for the following 8 years was unimaginable at the time. Like I thought, like I never would have thought that going into that weight loss, because I was at the end of my rope then. Every time I've gone into a weight loss challenge, it's been, I got to do something. I have to finally do something. And so when I went in at 415 pounds, I was thinking, I have to do something. And I never imagined that I would only do something for 9 months. Like my motivation at that time was to do it the rest of my life, but it only lasted me 9 months. And because of the process that I used to lose that weight, that 9 months of being on the diet led to the following 2 years of just being frustrated watching myself put the weight back on that I had worked so hard to lose. And then the next 6 years, just adding more and more weight on top of that weight that I already thought was unbearable, and getting myself up to 520 pounds. Barb says you're doing your exercises. Lynette says you're bouncing on your exercise ball too. Yes, get that heart rate up, do some of those workouts. We got out a little bit last night, played with the dog. We're trying to, Janet says she's out on a walk. I feel like I need to be like Dr. Greger and get a treadmill and walk on a treadmill while I'm doing these live streams, so then I can be multitasking things. But yeah, last night we got out a little bit. We started obedience training with our dog last week, and so we were working a little bit with her and getting out there. Carrie says, yeah, I do need to get a treadmill and start doing walking here. Cindy says you're back from PT. That's awesome, Cindy. I hope everything went great with your PT. So the sustainability is something that I don't know that, let's see, Laquita says, speaking of your dogs, your kids still want one, but you just let them play with other people's dogs. That's how I feel with my wife and kids. You know, my wife wants kids, but I just let her play with other people's kids. Oh, no worries, our tiny acres. Yeah, the sustainability of the diet was something that I knew I needed to concern myself with, because that's looking back when I started this challenge, I looked back at my previous diets and my previous experiences, and I realized that I was never able to keep doing it long term. It was always something where I would do a diet for a few months until an event happened that I was trying to lose weight for, or maybe I would hold on to doing a program for 5 or 6 months until I couldn't sustain that lifestyle anymore. Or the longest I had ever really done was at like 9 months. And at the time I was taking a prescription appetite suppressant to help me lose that weight. But they all had an end. Like all of the diets I ever did had a finite end point. And going into this challenge, my goal was to find a diet that I could eat the rest of my life, because I felt like if I could eat the way the version of me that is 220 pounds eats, then eventually I would become 220 pounds. And so, in what that would have been with my old diet, it's possible to eat like a 220 pound version of myself, but then I only would have been able to have like half of the breakfast I was eating, because the foods that I was eating were so calorie dense that I had to reduce the volume in order to get the calories to be at what a 220 pound version of myself would have to eat. And that volume, eating that low of a volume for as long as I would need to eat it to get down to 220 pounds is just not possible. But by changing the food that I'm eating and the calorie density of the food that I'm eating, I'm able to eat like a 220 pound version of myself who eats a plant-based diet eats, and be satisfied with that volume of food. The more I eat like a 220 pound version of myself, the closer I'm going to get to being that version. Some days I eat probably like the 200 pound version of myself eats. And when I do that, I just get closer and closer. And some days I eat like the 240 pound version of myself eats, and that slows me down. But in previous diets, it was very rarely that I was ever eating the right amount of food for my goal weight. I was either overeating or undereating the food that I was having. Our Tiny Acre says that your kale is finally getting big enough to start making salads with. That sounds delicious, having fresh kale that you grew yourself. Let's see here. Laquita says, Simpson, I think you've tried every diet pill and diet back in the day. Yes, I feel like I had tried all of the different diets, all of the different programs, threw my money at every gadget I could get my hand on to try to help me lose weight. And they all had the same result. They had, temporary success followed by catastrophic failure with every one of them. Shrinking Shadow says, do you ever eat avocados or did you cut overt fats out completely? We do not have avocado very often now. So there was a period of time throughout that second year that I was doing this challenge that we went back and forth with different foods. So I guess with avocados, I have found that when I have avocados in my diet, I do not lose weight as well as when I do not have avocados in my diet. So while I do enjoy avocados and I would love to have a piece of a toasted Ezekiel bread with some avocado and some mango salsa on top of it, I'm not eating those foods right now because those are foods that the 240-pound version of myself might get to eat, I guess. And so we have had them, I believe, within the last couple months in like one recipe that I can think of, but I've not had a lot of avocados. So don't really have a lot of those. But that's one of the foods. So there's a few foods that when I get to my goal weight, I would like to add back, and avocado is one of those foods that I wouldn't mind eating a little bit more of when I get to my goal weight. But right now the focus is on trying to get to that goal weight. Laquita says you try eating avocado every 2 weeks by making guacamole for you and the kids. Yeah, that's a great way to get some avocado in. I feel like we've had it in our mega veggie chili, maybe, or in one of the recipes that we've made. It doesn't sound right that it would be in mega veggie chili, but but yeah, I don't eat a lot of it because I'm trying to lose weight right now, and that is something that doesn't help me to lose weight. So and yeah, the Shrinking Shadow says it's very easy to overeat avocado. 100% I was overeating avocado because I would pretty much, if I cut open the avocado, I'd be eating the whole avocado myself. And so it ended up being a lot. And so Shrinking Shadow says you try to stay away from them as much as you can while you're trying to drop weight. And I feel that is the best. The same thing with the nuts, the cashews, the almonds, and things like that, that when you're trying to lose weight, it's just easier not to have them. And something I talked about a lot maybe last week was the idea that if I have extra fat on my body, which I do, I have plenty of extra fat on my body still, then if my body is in need of fat, it has no excuse for not just going to my right hip and grabbing some fat, or going to my left armpit and grabbing some fat from there. So I don't need to add fat to my system. My system already has plenty of fat. So it doesn't make sense to me to add more fat to that system until I get to the point where I am running low on fat, which is a ways away. So I'm trying to use that mentality to help kind of convince me to stay away from those overt fats like the avocado, the cashews, and items like that. Carrie said that she puts some avocado in the kids' mega veggie chili kind of recently, and that we pick up an avocado sometimes for the kids to have. Yeah. And so, yeah, I knew I had seen avocado around the house, but yeah, we don't eat a whole lot of it. And it's just, it's not goodbye. It's I'll see you later, I guess, with the avocado. Or it's also like, I suppose it's a cheat I could have that I wouldn't feel guilty about having, like it's not going to mess up my weight loss, like having something with a bunch of salt in it or a bunch of oil in it might mess up my weight loss. It just might slow things down a little bit longer. Shrinking Shadow says you completely agree on how the body can eat the fat off your body rather than eating more fat. Yes, that was my whole mentality going in with doing the water fast, was that if my body is so good at storing the fat, then why wouldn't it be good at taking the fat and using it? And so, because if it wasn't good at taking it and using it, then why would it waste the effort to store it in the first place? So yes, I'm trying to eat as low of fat diet as possible because I don't need more fat in the system. It just doesn't, if you have a shirt factory and you have a collection of buttons and your storage room is full of buttons, then you're not going to order more buttons in. You're going to use the buttons that are in the storage closet. And that's the way I feel about the fat on my body, is it's like the buttons in a shirt factory. Until I run out of buttons in the storage closet, I don't need to bring any new ones in. Karen here says you eat your avocados you eat your avocado as guacamole too. You started overeating it, so you made the decision not to eat any for a month. Now you're only eating it on Sundays when you eat at your favorite place, Qdoba. There you go. So you got it limited down to when you're allowing yourself to have it. I definitely found that also helped us throughout that second year of figuring out our diet, was that we didn't really bring the foods into our household. Anytime we had a cheat meal, it was because we were out of town and eating at a restaurant, or it was mostly restaurant foods. So it wasn't like we had the ingredients in our house sitting on the shelf calling our names to use them up. It was, hey, we had this cheat item. It's been eaten outside of the house and it's gone. And so it's out of sight, out of mind, or you don't have that temptation. See, Laquita says you still haven't done a water fast yet. How long did I water fast for? I water fasted for just over 41 days. I did a 1,000-hour water fast. I don't necessarily suggest that anybody does that. I don't think you need to do that. I think that the purpose of fasting is, while it helped me lose weight and it sparked the start of this whole challenge, the water fasting in itself wasn't where I saw my success. The way that I view that I succeeded through water fasting is I used water fasting as a way to reset my diet. So I was eating one way before I water fasted. I water fasted and I completely changed the way I ate after I water fasted. And for me, that made that transition fairly easy. If I would have gone from eating the way I used to eat to immediately switching over to eating this whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, I feel like it may have been more difficult to get over that taste adjustment that you have to get over in the first few weeks. But so water fasting, if you're going to do it, I think that it's far more important to have it figured out what you're doing after the water fast. And I did it for years and years, and I did it going into this challenge, is that I only looked far enough forward to be concerned about the water fast itself. I wasn't concerned with what am I going to do after the water fast? What does this water fast represent? What change does it represent in my life? If you're just looking to water fast to lose 5 pounds quickly, it's very easy to do that. And if you don't change the way you were eating, you're likely going to put that 5 pounds back on after you water fast. But if you take that as an opportunity to eliminate caffeine from your diet, then you might see that after the water fast and refeeding, you don't have cravings for caffeine like you had every other time that you tried to give up caffeine. Maybe it's processed foods that you want to get rid of, or for me, it was a bunch of foods that I got rid of, but it makes the transition easier. And what I did after the water fasting was far more important than anything that happened during the water fast. I would have lost, I mentioned it earlier in this stream, I would have lost the first 200 pounds that I lost doing just about anything, as long as I eliminated processed foods from my diet. That was going to cause a huge drop in my weight. I just did it much faster because of the water fast. I mean, in the 41 days that I water fasted, I lost 90 pounds. And so it was a great way to get my weight loss going. But like I said, I don't really recommend that you do water fasting unless it's something that you're confident that you can do. If you do decide to do water fasting, you need to understand that humans are physiologically adapted to be able to water fast. So I would give yourself more credit than you think with your ability to water fast. Many of the issues I see people talking about that they have within the first few days of water fasting, I believe can be attributed to their poor diet and not the water fast that they were on. They might be getting headaches because they're going through caffeine withdrawal. They might be getting headaches because they're going through dairy withdrawal. Just things that their body's used to having a really high amount of sodium, and then they go down to having almost no sodium. So those things are going to cause you to feel like the water fast is much harder than it would be if you didn't have those addictions going in. So, but you don't have to water fast. I think you could mono diet. I think you could juice fast. Any of those things you can do to reset your taste buds, reset your palate. And again, it's not about what happens during these fasting periods. It's what this fast is going to represent along your diet journey that you're taking. And for me, that was when I started this challenge, I said, you know what, this whole month of November of 2020, I'm going to water fast the entire month. And while I'm water fasting, I'm going to research different ways to refeed and how I should eat and what a sustainable way to eat is. And, just anything that I can figure out on how to be better after I water fast than when I started. And so I did lots of research, and it wasn't until I was 3 weeks into my water fast that I stumbled across Well Your World, and they were talking about a water fast that they had done at the True North Clinic. And then I started looking into the True North Clinic and found that they do these medically supervised water fasts followed by a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet. And so then what I thought was, that's just wild that this place that their main purpose is water fasting. Why are they recommending people eat such a crazy diet afterwards? They're already putting a target on their back by doing something that's pretty controversial, by doing extended water fasts, and then they're putting an even bigger target on their back by saying, hey, you should eat a vegan diet too. So I thought, why not give it a shot? Laquita says that's amazing reset, but you're right. You won't be doing the 1,000 hours like I did. You're doing good on managing your intermittent fasting. And I think intermittent fasting is a great way to help lose weight. I talked about it a lot when I first started this diet. I think that for a lot of us, putting a bracket on when we're allowed to eat, or putting bookends and saying, okay, you're not eating before 10 a.m. and you're not eating after 6 p.m. It helps us avoid overeating because of the world we live in. We don't live in a natural environment. And so in the natural environment, we wouldn't have to put these bookends on ourselves. We wouldn't have to say, okay, don't eat any more of that fruit today, because the fruit would have run out or the sunlight would have gone away and we wouldn't be able to be out there picking it any longer. So, so we had these, natural bookends on our diet because of the scarcity of food and that we weren't up unless the sun was out. And now we have an abundance of food and we can wake up at 4 a.m. We can go to bed at 11 o'clock at night, and we can eat all of that time in between. So putting brackets on when you eat will, I believe, help reduce overeating if that's something that you're worried about that's happening. But don't put the brackets on your diet at the expense of eating enough food to be satisfied. If you're putting brackets on your diet and then you finish eating at 5:30 and then at 7 o'clock you're hungry, then you might need to look at how much food you were eating at that last meal, and maybe make sure you're getting enough food to make it till that next 10 a.m. feeding time, because you want to give yourself as much possibility to succeed as you can. And going into the evening hungry makes it tougher when you get up in the morning hungry and then trying to push it. And then if you aren't able to overcome that hunger and you give in, then you feel bad for breaking kind of the plan that you had, but it wasn't your fault. Cindy here says about 5 years ago, they did a 30-day juice fast only by Jason Vale test, were specific recipes and included a smoothie on the weekends. You lost 30 pounds, but you have to know how to sustain a diet afterwards. They were specific recipes that they had made that you did on your 30-day juice fast. Yeah. Being on a juice fast, being on a water fast, being on a mono diet, you're going to lose a ton of weight. It's not, there's lots of evidence of that. You can find YouTube channels, you can find articles of people that have lost the weight while they're doing that item, but it's what happens when you can't water fast anymore. What happens when you can't continue to just have juice and smoothies? What's the plan then? And this diet has been the plan for me. It's ticked all of the boxes that I needed it to tick for satisfaction and sustainability. It just wasn't, I didn't expect it to be this way of eating. This is it's a surprise to me, but it makes so much sense to me now that I'm eating this way and that I have been eating this way for the past 900 days. Like, it makes sense that I always needed more volume. I always needed more food. I would always finish the plate that was in front of me. And that's a natural instinct to do that. You naturally have it in you to eat all the food in front of you. And what I never considered up until changing to this diet was that I needed to stop fighting that natural instinct and start changing the food that is in front of me, because the food is not natural. So I'm trying to put these unnatural boundaries on the volume or the content of what I'm eating, because I am presented with unnatural foods. Now that I present with natural foods, I get to eat in a more natural way. I get to eat that a way that is satisfying that urge of in my body to eat a large volume of food. So I think I'm going to get out of here for today. I really appreciate you guys hanging on and checking out the live broadcast, and everybody that watches the videos after the fact. I appreciate it a ton. Tomorrow is going to be weigh-in Wednesday. I am not anticipating it being near as exciting as the last two weigh-in Wednesdays. We'll see how things go this evening and into tomorrow. But overall, I'm at the lightest weight that I've ever been since I was 17 years old. So that's like 25 years since I was this weight. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, and the weight's going to just keep going down and down. Janet says, fingers crossed for tomorrow. I'm going to cross my fingers too. We'll see. I'm not likely going to see another 5-pound loss. I don't anticipate that, but if we can get a little bit of a loss or get it to tick down a little bit, that would be great as well. So thank you guys. I'm going to head out of here. If you haven't hit the like button on this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to my channel, make sure you get subscribed to the channel. Also, click on the bell icon to get alerted when I go live or post new videos. And if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. There's nobody that gets to their goals, looks back and says, man, I wish I would have waited. I missed that party that weekend that I wanted to go to, or I didn't get to eat all the food. I went to the party. I didn't have any fun because I didn't eat all the food. Nobody says that. Anybody that reaches their goals looks back and says, gosh, I wish I would have started sooner. And I am the same way. I wish I would have started sooner. So get started now. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.